Am I audible? Just confirm me. One of you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So yesterday we were starting with trees. Is it not our third unit? So we will discuss more about the new data structure called tree today. Okay. So let us wait for just 1 minute more. 57 students are here. So one person has joined newly, is it not? The newcomer. Who is that? Can you introduce yourself? Have you joined? The new person who has joined the class. Jeevanandam. Jeevanandam, are you attending the classes? He's not here, I think. Okay, we'll start our class. I hope you're having a notebook in your hand because this unit you're going to draw more diagrams. You have to take your notes clearly. We have so many terminologies and you might expect only problems in this unit. Okay, regarding your trees, you will expect problems. That is, you cannot just study as a theory and you cannot write. It's going to be problematic, or you have to dynamically create trees, and based on the data given in the question you have to construct trees, or you have to do the task what is given in the question, like that. Merely it won't be theory, it will be um, more like applying the problem. Okay, so have your notebook. Most probably you just draw the diagrams with a pencil. Okay, you'll be drawing the diagrams. You draw it with pencil so that when you are making some mistake you can erase it and draw. If you are drawing it in a pen you cannot erase it, not so you cannot strike also. So you have to draw diagrams only with pencil. Even I hope yesterday I have shown some diagram of a tree, is it not? So if you are just drawing some circle and writing a number into the node, even that writing that number also you have to write only in pencil. The purpose of using a pencil is you can easily erase it, and if you are making any mistake you can change it. Okay, so don't write with pen. Some students have the habit of drawing with pencil, and inside the drawing somebody will write with pen, is it not? Just completely use pencil for diagrams, even for writing some numbers or writing some alphabets. For that completely use pencil so that your diagrams will be more clear. Remember, in your school and all, for your record notebook and all, you will draw completely with pencil, is it not? You won't use pen inside a diagram. So that is a good habit. So use pencil for full diagrams. Even if you are writing anything in your diagram or marking anything, use pencils. Okay? So remember this for all the throughout the subject, or for whatever subject it is applicable. So to begin with your trees, I told you it is a non-linear data structure. Yesterday we discussed about this, just an introduction. Linear data structure means there comes your stacks, queue, and then linked list. You have sequential ordering of data. That is one after the other. You are arranging the data. That is linear data structure. But in non-linear data structures, you don't have that arrangement. Okay, you are going to arrange your data in some other notation. That is your non-linear data structure. and the topics also syllabus I showed you. And today you can take your notes clearly. Okay, take your notes clearly. What are all the terms, many terminologies you are going to see. Then only you are going in for the problems. Today we are going to see only basic terminologies. Okay. So the tree ADT, we are going to discuss about what is a tree, and then the concepts like what are the parts of the tree. Okay, root node. What is an root node? What is internal node? What are external nodes? Leaf nodes. What is the parent, child, sibling, and then path length, height, and depth of a tree. So here and all you can expect some 2 mark questions. So some tree might be given and you will be asked to calculate the height of the tree. Okay, or find the depth of the tree, or find the total number of nodes in the tree, like that. If it is asked, you must be able to answer. And ancestors, descendants, and then what is an ordered tree and unordered tree, and then subtrees. Okay, so these are some of the terminologies. Many terms we are going to see additionally along with that. So this is one example of a tree. Yesterday you might have drawn this in your notebook. Okay. So here your first node is your root node. So when you are having some set of data items to be inserted into a data structure, for example, 10, 20, 30, 40, like that. If you are given some 5 data elements, okay, so the first data element will go to the root. Okay, so that's how we are going to create a tree. So we will learn how to create a new tree also. When you're having some set of data items like 5 elements, the first element in your hand, the first element that you're having, it will go to the root. The other elements will go deeper one by one, okay, to all the other levels. So that's the way of creating a new tree. So this is your first node. A is going to be your root node or the first node. So every tree will have one root node. Okay, every tree will have only one root node that's going to be at the top level, and each node other than the root has exactly one node pointing to it. So it means that each node, for example, B has one node pointing to it. A points to B. So that's why it's written as it has exactly one node pointing to it. A points to B, and then A points to H. So H has only one node that is pointing to H. Okay. So here you can relate this with the linked list. In linked list, how we will store the address of the next node? A will store the address of H, is it not? So thereby A is pointing to H and A is pointing to B. Okay, we'll be storing the address of B in place of A. So using the linked list concept only we are going to do here. It's going to store the address of B. Okay. And coming to this second diagram, you have a path like this from A, B, E, and F. So to access F, to access a particular node in your tree, I will start from the root node and I'll traverse or I'll scan the nodes one by one to the other next levels, and I'll reach that particular node F. Okay. So you might ask how to access data. So here, since we are not storing in a sequential manner, if you are storing in an array, we can easily fetch A of 0, A of 1, like that. But in a tree, we are not storing data sequentially. We are storing it in a different manner. So then how to access the elements in your tree? So for that only, this diagram is shown here. We will access the nodes as a level by level access. Okay, from A, I'll go and check for B. Then from B to E. Then from E to F, like that. We will take a path to reach a particular node from the root node. Okay, always we start from root node. If I want to search a particular item, I'll start from the root node and I'll start my scan and I'll reach that particular node. Okay. If I want to insert a new node also, if I want to insert a new node after below L, okay, below the node L, if I want to insert a new node, I will start from root node and then traverse through all the other nodes, and then only I'll reach L and insert there. Okay. So that is the significance of your path. Okay. So next, I'll show you some applications of your trees. That is where your trees are used. So in so many places, your tree data structure is used in computer science. Okay. So I'm going to just discuss about 2 main applications, which are most frequently discussed, or which are most frequently asked in many places. So one of the application is your file directory system. How your file naming is done internally. So I've taken one example from your Linux operating system. Okay, so or even Windows also you can take how your files and directories they are named. Okay, You have a root directory, and then you have so many other subdirectories inside that, and even that directory can have further subdirectories, and then you'll have the particular files. Okay, so root is the main directory. Okay, and then for example, the Smith, Jones, these are all, you can assume that these are all usernames or some file name like that. Okay, so this is the way file naming it is done in internally in our computer system. Okay, so you might have also seen in a Java program and all, if you are executing using an IDE, if you are clicking a plus, it will expand, is it not? If you are clicking a plus symbol, it will expand and show what are all the folders available and what are all the files available. Once again, if there is another folder, if you are clicking on that plus, it will show the other subfolders. So that is an example of a tree structure, how your tree is applied for naming your file system. Even in our computer system, we have so many folders, is it not? In a particular drive, for example, D colon, you might have a folder. You might have some 3 folders. In one of the folder, you might have some more folders. Then you may have some particular files like that. You have some level by level access. They all come under your hierarchical structure. Okay. So that is one example. And another example is your trees can be used to evaluate arithmetic expressions. Okay. So I'll show you one example here. You can just note down this. You can draw these 2 diagrams in your notebook. One is your file naming system. File system. We call that as file system. In all the operating system, we use this type of file system. You have the root directory or the home directory. Then you have all the subdirectories, and then you have your files. And when you are using your tree to evaluate arithmetic expression, I have given one example here. It is a minus b plus c minus d. Write down this expression and draw this tree. So later in our unit, we will learn how to construct expression trees. If you are given a very large expression also, how to construct a tree we will learn later. Okay. By now you draw this diagram. So if you are just analyzing this expression tree, you can find that all your variable names, it will go to the last level, deeper in your tree. You will have the variables and all the other nodes, internal nodes. Yesterday we discussed something about internal nodes and external nodes. Is it not? All your internal nodes will be operators. It is the rule for defining your expression tree. All your internal nodes will be operators and all your external nodes will be operands, that is variables. Okay, operands. So all your external node will be variables and all your internal nodes will be operators. And here also your expression tree, it is formed considering the precedence. Okay, considering the precedence only we construct a tree. So which node will come to the root node is whichever operator has the least precedence, that will come to the root node. By now I will tell you this. Later also we will discuss about this how to construct an expression tree. By now you understand that always your least precedence operator, it comes to the root node, and your highest precedence operations, they will come deeper into your tree. And your level in your tree, it indicates the precedence. Based on the precedence only we'll construct a tree. Okay, so I'll teach you this later. By now you take down this example alone. So we'll go for the next slide. So just write down this definition of your tree. One more tree I've given. So a tree is recursively defined. A tree is recursively defined as a set of one or more nodes. First you just read through, then you can write down. A tree is recursively defined as a set of one or more nodes where one node is designated as the root node of the tree and all the remaining nodes can be partitioned into non-empty sets, of which is a subtree of the root. Okay, so it means that you have in your tree you have one node as a root node. All other nodes or all other branches, they will have subtrees. Okay, they are called as subtrees of your root. Okay, so here we can say that from the diagram, T1, T2, T3, they are subtrees and it is recursively defined. So that's why once time if you are defining, it is okay. And since it is recursively defined, once again B can be considered as a root node and other E and F, this branches, they will be considered as subtrees. Okay, so like that, a recursive definition can be applied for a tree. You have one root node and many branches emanating from that, and that can be called as subtrees. Okay, in this example, you have three subtrees here: T1, T2, and T3. Draw this diagram. Okay, so here you just analyze this. You have a root node A and then three children. In the previous tree and all, I've shown you only two branches, but now you see you have three branches for A. Okay, and in some of the node you can see there are two branches. For B you have two subtrees. For C you have only one subtree. For C you have only one branch pointing to G, and then for D you are having two branches. Okay, so this is a general tree. Okay, a tree can have any number of branches. It is not only just a two branch always. A tree can have any number of branches. So that's why I've given this example here. A node can have any number of branches in a tree. Okay, either a single branch or more two branches like B, and then three branches like A, and sometimes you may not have a branch at all. That is, for example, node E, node J, and then node K, node I. They all don't have any further subtrees. They don't have any branches at all. They are all called as terminal nodes or external nodes. Okay, so your tree can have zero branches, or one or two or three or four, any number of subtrees are possible. uh, Possibly you can construct from a node. Okay, so once again we'll be seeing all these terms. So what is a root node? Just write down this in short. I've given some short description so that you can later refer and study. So what is a root is, a first node is going to be the root node, and it does not have a parent. If you're asked to define a root node, you have to tell the first node is a root node, and a root node does not have any parent. For example, in your diagram, node A is the root node. You just check whether you're having any parent node for that. You don't have any parent node. Is it not? Since it is the first node, it does not have any parent, but it has three children. Okay, it has three children, B, C, and D, like that. It has three children, but it does not have any parent. So root node is the first node, and it does not have any parent. And then what is a node? Node is the item of information. For example, what data you're storing inside the node. Okay, so what data you're storing inside your tree, that is your node. So a node A, a root node, if you're naming it as A, that A is the node and it defines the information what you're storing. Okay, A defines the information you're storing, or you can store 10 or 20 like that. Okay, so a node defines the item of information. And then leaf. So leaf node is also called as a terminal node, and that node does not have a children. Does not have children. Okay, take down these terminologies. A leaf node is a terminal node and it does not have children. So take down the notes clearly. So whatever you are writing today, I am going to tell you to upload it as an assignment. Okay, so write it down clearly. Okay, later when you are referring a notebook, you must be able to understand what you have written, because this is the basic for this unit. If you understand, because your topics in your trees, there are more advanced topics are also available. So to understand that, these basics are necessary. Okay, so write down neatly and clearly. So leaf is the node that does not have any children. And then siblings. So sibling is children of the same parent. For example, in your previous diagram, let us see what are all the siblings. For example, B, C, and D, they all have same parent A. Okay, so B, C, and D, they are all siblings. So like that you have to see. For example, E and F, they are siblings. E and F, they are siblings since they have same parent B. Okay, so you have to check whether they have the same parent. If so, we can call it as a sibling. And then path. Path is the number of edges you're going to scan. Okay, a path from node n1 to nk, write this as subscript. Okay, write n1 and nk, all these as subscript. N1 to nk is defined as a sequence of nodes n1, n2, n3 up to nk, such that there is exactly one path from each node to root. So we will see with this path with an example. By now you write down a path from n1 to nk is defined as a sequence, n1, n2 up to nk. Till this you just write down. So to reach a particular node, for example, E or F, okay, for example, I want to see the path of E, means I'll start from the root node. Okay, from the root node, what are all the nodes I'm traversing, and I'm reaching the particular node E, that defines the path. Okay, so that's why it's defined as N1, N2, N3. These are all the nodes that we are taking in as the intermediate path. Okay, they are available in the intermediate level. We traverse through all these nodes and then we reach this K. Okay, like imagine if you are connecting cities. Okay, if you're traveling from Chennai to Trichy, you might cross through so many cities and then only will come, is it not? So that is one example. So that is the example for a path. In between you reach so many cities and then only you reach the destination. So here you assume your nk as a destination, n1 as a source. Okay, you have only one path from that particular node to root. That is your path. And then we are going to see some of the terminologies like this. Write down length. So we are going to calculate something called as length, degree, level, depth of a particular node, height of a particular node, and then height of the leaf node and height of the tree, like that. Okay, so write down from the example itself we can analyze. Okay, length. Write down length. So length is the number of edges on the path. For example, if I'm connecting from A to E, I'll take that diagram once again. You refer in your notebook. Okay, from A to E. From node A to E, what is the length? You just see through the path. That's all. The path is, it is from A to B and B to E. So the length is going to be 2 there. Okay, so length is the number of edges on the path. So edges means the lines connecting one node and other node, that we can call it as edges. Okay, so the circle, they are called as nodes. So the line connecting between two circles, they are called as edges. Okay, the lines connecting two nodes, they are called as edges. So you have to count the number of edges along a path. So if I'm trying to connect from A to E, just check check out the path and then count the number of edges connecting this path. Okay, that gives the length of a particular path. Okay, and then degree is the number of subtrees of a node. Degree is the number of subtrees of a node. So in your example, for the root node, degree of your root node is going to be 3 because you had 3 branches. Okay, you had 3 subtrees, T1, T2 and T3. So degree of that particular root node is 3. Similarly, you can calculate degree for every node. Okay, for any particular node, you can calculate the degree. Okay. And then level is, we are going to calculate from the root. I'll give you example for this later. In the later slides, I'll give you examples for all these. So level is from the root node, you're going to calculate. The root node will take level, first level, and then the next subsequent levels, it will be named as level 1, level 2, level 3. Root node will take level 0. Okay, and then depth of n. Depth is the length of the unique path from root to n. Okay, so depth of a node is calculated by calculating the length of the path from root to n. From root, we will calculate the depth. And here you have some variations like depth and height. So always a depth is calculated from a root, and height of a particular node is calculated by checking out the longest path from a particular node to leaf node. Okay, longest path. For example, intermediate, if you are taking any particular node, we will see the length connecting to its leaf node. For example, for height, I'll take the diagram once again. Height of C, if I want to calculate the height of C, I will check out the number of edges connecting edges to reach the leaf node. Okay, so from C to G and G to J, there is one path. And then from C to G and C to G to K, you have one more path. You count the number of edges connecting these two. Okay, you have 2 here, here also 2. So your definition goes as longest path. Okay, since both these are the same length, you can take the height of C as 2. Or if you are taking A, we'll just take this node. For A, we'll calculate the height. Okay, to calculate the height of A, you just go to any leaf node. Okay, check out the leaf nodes. How many edges are there to connect the leaf node? From A to E, you have 2. From A to F, you have 2. From A to J, you have the length is 3. And then from A to K, it is 3. And then take down this path, it is ADH, it is 2. So the longest path connecting A with the leaf node is 3 here. Okay, A to J or A to K. So therefore, height of A is going to be 3. Okay. So height is always calculated from the root node, from a particular node to the leaf node. Okay. Height is always calculated from a particular node to the leaf node, and that too we are going to take the longest path. There might be so many paths connecting that node with any of the leaf node. Okay. You are going to take the longest path connecting that node, a particular node, with any of the leaf node. Okay, so you have to analyze and find out which is the longest path. That is your height. Whereas a depth is, you always start from your root node. For example, if I want to calculate depth of G, I will start with the root node and I will check the edges. Depth of G is going to be 2. From A, you have 2 edges, so depth of G is going to be 2. So for height, you are going to check out till the leaf node. For depth, you start from the root node to the specified node. That is your depth. So these are basics of many times we get confused with your depth, height, level, like that. Okay, so level is always calculated. Level, I'll show you the diagram, then you will understand. And depth and height, you have to understand carefully. Okay, depth is you start from the root node to a particular node, and height is you have to check out till a leaf node. Height defines the length of the longest path. Length of the longest path from a specified node n to a leaf node. You have to check for maximum number of possible path and find out the longest path. That will give you your height. And here you can see height of a leaf node. What is the height of a leaf node? If it is asked, you have to tell it is 0. Okay, because it is already at the leaf node. We are already at the leaf node, and if you are checking out the height, it's going to be 0. So any node before that leaf node, it's going to be its height is going to be 1, like that. In the reverse order, you have to see. Depth is always started from the root node. Height, you are going to count from the leaf node onwards, and height of the leaf is going to be 0. And height of a tree, if you want to calculate the height of the entire tree. Okay, so previously we were calculating the height of each and every particular node. If you want to calculate the height of the entire tree, we have to take the height of the root. Okay, so it means the maximum length. You will get the maximum length of a particular longest path. So that will give the height of the root. As we saw in our example, the height of a root node is going to be 3. Okay, the longest path connecting that root with your any of your leaf node is going to be 3. That defines the height of your entire tree. Okay, so even you have formulas to calculate this height, depth, and height and depth. Okay, so I'll just read through this, some of the things. That is, a root node is the topmost node, and if R is equal to null, it means the tree is empty. Even you can define an empty tree. Empty tree means there is no tree at all. There is no node. If there are 0 number of nodes, that tree is called as empty tree. Okay, so it is not a must that always you must have some node. Empty tree defines a tree that does not have any node at all. When you are inserting the first node, you will have one node in your tree. Okay, and subtrees, in our example T1, T2, T3, they are all the subtrees. And the leaf node is a node that does not have any children. This you need not write. Already if you have written all these leaf node and all, you need not write again. Just analyze with the diagram. A node that has no children is called as leaf node or terminal node. And path is the sequence of consecutive edges. For example, path to reach J is A, C, G, J. They define the path to reach J. Okay, your path will always start from root node. So here an example is given for node I, how to reach I. So the path to reach I is from root node. You have to start always from root node. So A to D and then D to I. That defines the path of I. Okay. And we have to note down here that there will be exactly only one path. For every node, there will be exactly one path. You cannot have more than one path. For I, you have only one path from A to D, D to I. For E, if you're taking, you have only one path, A to B and B to E. You won't have any other path to connect your root node to your particular node. Okay, so that defines your path. Whereas in your next unit, you'll be studying about graph data structure. Okay, so for your graph data structure, your path, you can have more number of path also. Okay, but since tree takes the hierarchical structure, you will have only one path. And then ancestor node. The ancestor node of a node is any predecessor node on the path from root to that node. That is, ancestor means which node comes before that node. For example, for B, ancestor of B is A. The previous level, you have to see the node in the previous level. That will define the ancestor. Okay. So here in your example, it is given as node A and C are ancestors of node K. For node K, what are all the ancestors? You can see what comes before that K. You have G, C, and A. So they are all the ancestors of K. And here you can note down, even though there are three ancestors, for K there are three ancestors till you are reaching this root node, G, C, and A. You can call G as the immediate ancestor. Immediate means the first node to come before this K. That is your immediate ancestor. Okay. So similarly, like an ancestor, you have the another notation called as a descendant. Okay, descendant means what comes after. Okay, a descendant node is any successor node of any path. Successor means what comes after. Okay, and in the previous slide we saw about ancestor. Ancestor means predecessor. If you are not able to use these words predecessor, successor, you can use simple words like before, after, like that. Okay. If you are able to remember, it's well and good. Otherwise, you use a descendant node is any node that comes after or in the next level, like that. You can redefine. You can redefine your statements. So descendant node is any successor node of on any path from the node to a leaf node. Okay. So for ancestor, what we saw, we from a node we took all the nodes till we reach the root node. But for a descendant, we'll see what are all the nodes that is below that node till we are reaching your leaf node. For example, your your descendants for A is you have C, G, J, and K. What are all the nodes that are all coming below that in the next levels? They are all called as descendants. Okay. And we can also say B, E, and F are also descendants of A. And D, H, and I, they're all descendants of A. So what even B, C, D, they're all descendants. Is it not? And then the level. And every node in the tree is assigned a level. Okay, each and every node in your tree is assigned a level in your tree. Okay. So here your root node will be at level 0. Level defines the root node is a level 0, and BCD they are at level 1. So in the hierarchy, we'll see what is next to next. Okay, in the next branch, what are all the nodes? They all come under level 1. Okay, the children of root node are at level number 1. And then thus every node is at one level higher than its parent. Okay, so all child nodes have a level number given by the parent's level number plus 1. So root node has a level 0. So all its children will be at one level greater than the parent. That is one level greater than the root node. So B, C, and D, they are at level 1. And then E, F, G, H, I, they are all at level 2. Okay, so level of BCD is 1. You add 1 to that. So then you will get the level of E, F, G, H, and I. The level of E is 2, level of F is. You can simply imagine a straight line here. All these nodes, they are at level 2. And J and K, they are at level 3. We are going to just add 1 with the previous levels. Okay. And degree of a node is equal to the number of children that a node has. So anybody, do you have any doubt? Angelin? Angelin, do you have any doubt?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay. Okay. So your degree of a node is equal to the number of children that a node has. So yesterday we saw this. Degree defines the number of children. That is the number of branches coming out of a particular node. It is called as a degree. And the degree of a leaf node is going to be 0 because your leaf node does not have any further children. Is it not? A leaf node does not have any branches. Leaf node is the last node. It does not have any branch. So degree of leaf node is 0. So here in this diagram, the degree of A is, what is the degree of A? Let us analyze with this diagram, then we will see more examples also. What is the degree of A here? You can use a chat box and tell the degree of A, B, C. For A, B, C alone we will analyze. For A, what is the degree? For B and C. What is the degree of A, B, and C? Degree defines the number of branches or number of children. For you to understand, I am using the term called branch. But in your exam, you must not write as branch. You should tell it as number of children. Okay. Number of children that A has. That is the degree of A. Yes. So what is the degree of A, B, and C? You just type in your chat. So A has 3 branches. So degree of A is 3. Yes. Very good. And degree of B is 2 and degree of C is 1. Yes. Many are answering. Okay. So now you can understand the degree, is it not? So number of branches or number of the children. Number of children of any node, it defines the degree of a particular node. And then I have included 2 more terms called in degree and out degree. Okay. So in degree is the number of edges arriving at that node. For example, in degree of B is you have one node pointing to B. So in degree of B is 1. And then out degree of a node is number of edges leaving that node or coming out of that particular node. So out degree of B is going to be 2. So B has 2 children, is it not? So B has 2 children. So out degree of B is going to be 2. In degree of B is going to be 1. So always in your tree data structure, in degree is going to be 1. Okay, in your tree data structure, in degree is going to be 1 because you have only one parent, is it not? You have only one ancestor for every node. Any particular node you just analyze, you have only one ancestor. So your in degree is always going to be 1. But your out degree, it's going to be as same as that of the degree. Degree is going to be the number of children. So out degree is going to be equal to the number of children, number of branches coming out of a particular node. These two terminologies, in degree and out degree, we will use it in our graph data structure. Okay, so there it will vary. Your in degree and out degree of a particular node will vary in your graph. So this one we already discussed. So degree is the number of siblings. The degree of I is going to be 3. Yesterday we saw this. So nodes with degree 0, they are all called as leaf node. This also we discussed, so you need not draw again. With the same diagram you analyze. Earlier I gave you a diagram, is it not? The same diagram you analyze. The leaf node is a node with degree 0. And this is one more example. This I didn't take it from your textbook. So you need not draw this. Okay, you have so many nodes. So your textbook has a standard diagram like with A, B, C, D, E. Some with 3 or 4 levels. If you are drawing, it is enough. So this for clarity I gave you. Okay, for additional example I gave you this diagram to show you the difference between the external node and internal node. All your leaf nodes, they are colored as red. They are all external nodes. And then all the other nodes apart from leaf node, whatever you are having. Okay, apart from leaf node, whatever node you're having, they're all called as internal node. Even your root node, it is also called as internal node. Okay, so your internal node might have branches, but your external node, leaf node, will not have any outgoing edges or branches. And subtree. So subtree, I told you that a node can have, if you're having 2 branches, you can tell it as you have 2 subtrees, and each subtree can be defined recursively once again. You can call it as left hand subtree and right hand subtree, left subtree and right subtree. We will name like that, left subtree and right subtree, to denote nodes in the left hand side of a tree. This is a red colored circle, they define the left subtree. The right hand side blue circle, it denotes the right subtree. This diagram you can draw and just write down left subtree and right subtree. You need not write this hand and all, you can write as simply left subtree. It is a notation. We'll use it in our another variation of tree called binary search tree and AVL tree and all. We will discuss as a left subtree, right subtree, like that. So whatever nodes come in the left hand side of a branch, it's called as left subtree, and those nodes that come in the right hand side of a branch, it's called as a right subtree. So one more term, that is empty node. So empty node or a null subtree. Null subtree is any location where a new leaf node could be appended. That is, whenever I want to do some insertion. Imagine in your your earlier data structure like stack, queue, or linked list, what we did, we inserted new elements. It's not like that. In our tree also, we are going to insert new items. So when you are inserting new items, you have to think where we have to insert new items. So usually we are going to insert new items below a leaf node. Okay. So in our earlier trees, we saw that there is a root node. There are so many branches. You have leaf nodes. Is it not? So whenever I want to insert a new node to a tree, new data to a tree, we are going to do insertions only at the leaf node. Okay. Below a leaf node, we are going to insert a new node. So that's why we are going to call a leaf node as an empty node or a null subtree. So there only we are going to do insertions. Okay, so all these leaf nodes, they are all called as empty subtrees or empty node or a null subtree. So that we can add a new leaf node. Whenever I want to do some insertion, I will go and add new nodes at these empty nodes. Okay. By now you just know this term. This is not a most frequently used term, but you should know what is an empty node. Empty node is the last leaf node where we are going to do some insertions. So all the leaf node, you can call it as empty node. Okay, all the leaf nodes, because I can do insertion anywhere. It is not a rule that I have to do from the left side or right side like that. You can do insertions anywhere, but where we are going to insert, it depends on the type of tree that you are going to study. So from the syllabus, you have seen so many types of trees, is it not? Binary tree, AVL tree, there are so many different types of trees. So based on where you're going to do insertion, it depends on the type of tree. You're going to have some logic there. Like in your stack, we followed the last in first out, or in queue, we followed first in first out. There all we had some rule in doing insertion. Like that for a tree also, you have some rule where to do insertion. Below which leaf node we should do insertion. For that, you have some specific restrictions. So path, this we discussed already. Just go through this. You need not write this. Some more examples only I've shown here. So here, this diagram, you just see path defines the length. So if I want to see the path of a particular node from a particular node, we can just count the number of edges. So this yellow colored nodes, they define a path, and you have 11 edges connecting these two nodes. So the path of this particular sequence is 11. You have their length is 11. And this red colored nodes, they are connected by 4 edges. So length of this path is going to be 4. Okay. So this you need not draw, just for analysis I have taken. So this one you can draw. This here we are going to study about the depth of a particular node. Okay. So depth, for each node in a tree, there exists a unique path from root node to that node. Okay. So depth, we studied that depth defines the level. Root node takes a depth 0, then the next level takes depth 1. We're going to add one by one. Okay. So length of this path is the depth of the node. So E has depth 2. So depth defines the length from your root node. Length of your path from your root node, that defines the depth. So depth of depth of A is going to be 0. Depth of your B and H is going to be 1, and depth of these nodes, L has a depth. Okay, so depth defines the number of edges connecting your nodes till your root node. Okay, you just take the path and count the number of edges, that will give the depth. So earlier we discussed only about the level, is it not? So I just remembered that. So depth is, you have to count the number of edges connecting the path from your root node. That is your depth. So here some more examples. This also you need not draw. When I'm having so many nodes, you don't draw. That is additional example I'm giving. So depth is 0 here, and depth of this line, nodes at this level, it's going to be 4. Count the number of edges. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Count the number of edges at level 4. You will have 4 edges connecting to root node. That defines the depth. Okay. Depth 9 means all the nodes. You need not worry about the parents, whether it belongs to the same parent or not. All the nodes at that level, they're all having the depth 9 here. Okay. So if you're just counting the edges, you will get 9 edges connecting that the nodes in this level with your root node. And similarly 14 and 17. We're just going to count the number of edges connecting those nodes with your root node. So height of a tree, this also I told you, height is going to be defined as the maximum depth. Height of a tree with one node is 0. If you're taking the root node, height of that particular root node is going to be 0. Then one by one you're going to add 1. Okay. So height of an empty tree is going to be -1. Okay, height of an empty tree, for example, you don't have any node at all, means we'll initialize it as -1. Then when I'm adding the first node, when it becomes a root node, we define the height as 0. So height of a root node is going to be 0, and the other nodes, when you are adding more nodes at the successive levels, your height will be incremented by 1. Okay, so you remember height of a root node is 0. Okay, so starting only you have to remember height of your root node is going to be 0. Then one by one you can add. Okay. So here we have defined height of this root node is going to be 0. Then you're having so many levels. The last nodes in the last level, they will take the height as 17. So that will define the height of the entire tree. If you are asked to calculate the height of the entire tree, you will calculate the height of the longest path, or height of the longest path connecting your leaf node. Take the maximum number of path for a leaf node, that will give the height. This also we discussed in the first few slides, is it not? The smaller example. So this we already saw, ancestors and descendants. So with one example we have analyzed, you just stick on to that. We'll see what are all the types of trees. You can note down these. You can note down this one, a new variant called tournament trees. Yeah, this is given in your textbook, so I've taken this. We'll discuss about all these types. So we have all these 6 types of trees: general trees, and then forest, binary tree, binary search trees. So here only I told you, you must not confuse between binary tree and binary search trees. So binary search tree is a variant of your binary tree. And then expression trees and tournament trees. So note down these types. So whatever we were discussing earlier, the first example I gave you, it comes under a general tree. Okay, it is a general tree. We didn't tell any rule. So all the other trees, binary tree, expression tree, they have some constraints with them. But a general tree does not have any constraint. You have a root node, you have so many branches, you have the child node, like that. You can have nodes anywhere. You can have any number of branches. That is your general tree. So we'll see one by one. So a general tree is a data structure that stores elements hierarchically. And the top node of a tree is the root node, and each node except the root node has a parent. So except root node will not have a parent. We defined a root node as a node that does not have a parent. If not, remember that a root node will not have a parent. So the top node of a tree is a root node, and each node except the root node will have a parent. Okay, except the root node, all the other nodes in your tree will have a parent node. This is the definition for your general tree. It is applicable for any type of tree. Okay, so all the nodes except a root will have a parent. And a node in a general tree except the leaf nodes may have 0 or more subtrees. So here these 3 points depicts. The first point discusses that your tree is a hierarchical representation. Then here in the second point, the top node of the tree is a root node. It is about your root node. The topmost node is a root node. And then we discuss about the other nodes in your tree, that is except the root node, all the other nodes have a parent. Okay, and then the third point, it discusses about the child of a particular node. What are the successors? So a node in a general tree may have 0 or more subtrees. What all the subtrees a node can have? Okay, a node can have 0 or more subtrees. These 3 points you have to remember. Okay. So second point and third point in this slide, they define the points that are necessary. Okay, so topmost node is a root node. That is the first point you have to remember. And second point is each node except the root node will have a parent. The third point is about your subtrees. Each node can have 0 or more subtrees. Okay, each node, for example, here your T1, T2, T3, they are all subtrees. So when I want to denote a subtree, I'll draw a triangle shape like this. So far you have seen some specific examples like A, B, C, D, E. So when you're having specific data, we'll draw a circle. But when I want to represent a subtree, I'll use a triangle shape like this. Okay, this is a notation to define a subtree. You draw this diagram in your notebook. So that's why I took this diagram from your textbook. That is a subtree, it is denoted by a triangle shape. So when you're applying it to a specific example, this T1 might have some 3 or 4 nodes in a tree structure. Okay, so we can combine, we can write it as a subtree like this. T1 is a subtree, T2 is a subtree. So node can have any number of subtrees. I think all of you are writing. You sit separately, take a notebook, and then write down terms and diagrams. So this is a specific example. In the previous slide, I've shown you general notation of a general tree. That is, you have a root node and so many subtrees. But specifically, if I am talking about an example, to give an example for a general tree, you can take down this tree. That is, this is a tree where you have specific data elements, that is A, B, C, D, E, or 10, 20, 30. When you are going in for problems, we will have specific data like 10, 20, 30. Okay. So here we have written it as A, B, C, D, E. To take an example. So here you can tell that A has 6 subtrees. Node A is a root node, and A has 6 subtrees. So B, C, D, E, F, G, they are all subtrees of A. And further, D has one branch. It means it has one subtree. E has 2 subtrees. So whatever comes below E, it defines the subtree. Okay, or whatever comes below A, they're all subtrees. For example, A has a subtree. This whatever is under this E. For example, E, I, J, P, Q. It defines an entire subtree of A. Okay, E, I, J, they define a subtree of A. And similarly, F, K, L, M. These nodes constitute a subtree of A. And G and N, it defines a subtree. Okay, so all the nodes that comes under a particular branch, it is a subtree. Okay, so this is one example for a general tree. Now you just check out how many the maximum number of children a node has. So some nodes has one child, and some nodes have 2 child, and some nodes have 3. Is it not? So there is no restriction. In a general tree, you don't have any restriction on the number of children. But whereas for the other types of trees like binary tree and all, you have a restriction on the number of child a node can have. Okay. So in the beginning itself, I'm telling you, a binary tree means there is a rule. You cannot have 3 child in your binary trees. Okay. You cannot have 3 or 4 children in your binary tree. But whereas in a general tree, you can have any number of children. You can have even 3 children, or 4 children, or 5 children, or here for A you are having 6 child nodes. Okay, 6 branches. But in a binary tree, you have a restriction that every node can have only 2 child. Binary, the word binary, from the word binary, you just understand 2. Binary means 2. You can have maximum 2 children for every node. But whereas in a general tree, you can have any number of children. So that's why A has 6 child. F has 3 child. It is possible in a general tree. Don't have any restriction at all. Okay. So this is a basic. This is a general thing. So it defines only the basics of a tree, and root node, and any number of children, any branches. It constitutes your general tree. Okay. So by the side in your notebook, you write there is no constraint. A node can have any number of children. That is your general tree. A node can have any number of children. So here some definitions are here. We just we'll just read through this. So node F has a parent. Node F has A as a parent and K, L, and M as children. And nodes with no children, they are called as leaf nodes. For example, B, C, H, P, Q, K, L, M, N, they are all leaf nodes. Okay, which those nodes that does not have any child, they are called as leaf nodes. And nodes with same parent are called siblings. For example, K, L, and M, they're all siblings. They have the same parent F. And similarly, I and J, they are called as siblings. Its parent is E. So can we say that J and K, they are siblings? Do you agree that J, K, I, J, K, L, M, I, J, K, L, M, K, L, and M, they are siblings? If I'm telling that, will you agree? Can I say I, J, K, L, and M as siblings? Yes or no? Just answer yes or no in the chat box. Can I say that I, J, K, L, and M are siblings? No. Yes, I, J, K, L, and M put together, we cannot tell that they are all siblings. Because why we can't say them as siblings? They do not have the same parent. I, J, they have E as a parent. Okay. And K, L, and M, they have F as parent. Okay. Okay, many of you have told that no, because ij they have a different parent, k, l and m they have different parent. We can say that ij are siblings. We can say k, l and m they are siblings among themselves. Okay, but j and k they are not siblings. J has a different parent and k has a different parent, so they are not siblings. Okay, so here we that is the thing you have to understand here. We have to check out the parent node. If the parent is same, we can call those descendants as siblings. If the parents are different, they are not siblings. Okay. Okay. So siblings, it is asked in 2 marks. If you are asked in 2 marks, you have to clearly say. Very good. All of you have told it as no. Okay. So here in the previous slide, we have seen a tree notation like this. You have a hierarchical notation. Okay. So there is one more notation of defining your tree. So that I've given here. One more representation. We won't use it commonly, but when you're storing it as a linked list notation, when you're representing it as representing a tree as a linked list, we are going to use this notation. That is first child, next sibling. We'll have a sequence, or we'll have a pointer like notation like this. So A is a root node, is it not? I've taken the same previous example. A was the root node. It will point to its first child alone instead of pointing to all the nodes. Okay, A will point to only its first child, and this first child, it will point to all other siblings as a sequence. Okay, B will point to its sibling, C will point to its sibling. Okay, so you have a pointer notation like this, and then D will point to its first child, and if H has some more siblings, H will point to those siblings. Okay, E is pointing to its first child, and I points to its sibling. So this is one notation. First child, next sibling representation of a tree. You just analyze this diagram. All of you analyze this diagram. A pointer notation goes like this. First child, next sibling. So node at a particular level, it will point to its first child in a deeper level. Okay, and that node, it will point to all other siblings as a sequence. And if any of the node like E, it has some subtrees, it will point to its it has a direct pointer to its first child alone. Okay, it won't have a direct pointer to J. Okay, E has a direct pointer to first child alone. It does not have a pointer to J. But the siblings, they are connected like this. I will point to J, and J, if it has one more sibling, it will point to that. For example, in F has 3 child, and its first child is K. And there were 3 siblings, K, L, and M, and they are connected like this. K points to L and L points to M. This is one more notation of representing your trees. So this is a very rarely used notation, but you should know how to connect. So mostly we'll use the previous notation, and then we'll use an array notation. So the arrow that points downwards, this is the first child pointer. The arrow that points to right hand side, from left to right, it defines the siblings, pointer to its siblings. Draw this diagram. So from the root node, you'll have only one pointer to the first child alone. So from top to bottom, if you're having an arrow, it defines the first child. And from left hand to right hand, if you're having pointers, it defines the siblings. Have you all drawn? So if you have started, you can refer the previous tree and complete the diagram. We'll see what is a forest. This is asked in your university exam in 2 marks. What is a forest? So many times they've asked in 2 marks, what is a forest? So simply we cannot tell. So some of the students, they will define as forest is a collection of trees. Okay, but it's not the correct definition. So forest is a disjoint union of trees. Okay, forest, this is the correct definition. Forest is a disjoint union of trees. It means that you see this diagram. I have given two diagrams here. You see the diagram V. The second diagram you just note down. You have the root node as A, and then you have B, C, and E as the next level, and you have a tree like this here. You try to remove the node A here. Okay, we'll try to remove the node A. We'll try to delete the root node. If I'm deleting the root node, what will happen? All the other three subtrees, they will become separated. They become disjoint. Okay, B, C, and E, they become disjoint sets. Okay, so in that case, these subtrees, they are called as forest. Okay, so B is a subtree. It will become a separate tree now. And C, D, they will become a separate tree, and E, F, G, H, they will become a separate tree. So these three subtrees which were earlier under your root node A, they have become disjoint and they have become three new trees. And this collection, this entire set of collection, they are called as forest. Okay. So now you just read through the statement. A forest is a disjoint union of trees, and a set of disjoint trees or forest is obtained by deleting the root and the edges connecting the root node. We have to remove this node A and also the edges. That is the edges connecting A with B and the edge connecting A with C, A with E. These three edges and the root node, if you are removing, you will get three disjoint sets or three disjoint trees, and these three disjoint trees put together, they are called as a forest. Okay. So this, it is enough if you are knowing the definition of this. In 2 marks only they will ask. We won't have any other importance in big problems and all. For 2 marks you understand, a forest is obtained by removing the root node and the edges connecting the root node with the subtrees. You will get disjoint set of trees. They are called as a forest. So here you have a collection, a forest with three disjoint trees. Okay, draw this diagram also. So simply you can't define forest is a collection of trees. Forest is not a collection of trees. Forest is obtained by removing the root node. When you are removing a root node and the edges connecting the root node with the subtrees, you will get disjoint subtrees. Those collection of disjoint subtrees, they are called as forest. So do you have a CodeVita session today? I hope you have evening, you're having a meeting, is it not? Anybody attending that, or all of you are attending? No reply. Today, do you have a CodeVita session meeting today in the evening session? No. So I had a message that for CodeVita some meeting is scheduled. I hope you are also participating, is it not? Okay. So I don't know whether it is not assigned for second days or not. Do well, okay. Your CodeVita is very important. All of you do well in that CodeVita. It is you have taken the mock test also. So just to give importance, you will get internships, and I hope you have some points for that. It will be considered, and later in the subsequent years, it will be very easy for you to get through. Your CodeVita will give you a placement. Okay, so do that well. Don't just since you're in second year, don't neglect that. If you are capable, then you can get good job. You can also get good job, is it not? So you just try sincerely. Don't leave. You have a proper plan. Decide the timing, whichever timing is comfortable for you. You sit, analyze, and do the program. And in the previous day itself, you have to practice. Be prepared with some simple routines. For example, in many of the problems, you will have, for example, conversion. For example, factorial and all. In many larger problems, you will have factorial as a smaller notation. So you must be able to define factorial earlier. You must have the coding for factorial earlier, or converting an octal number into hexadecimal, like that. The smaller functions and all, you must have it with you earlier. At that time, you must not go and try how to convert a decimal to binary or binary to decimal, or finding the factorial and all. At that time, you must not try. Earlier, you have to plan, and you must have the coding in your hand earlier, so that at that time it will be easy. So you sit and plan and try to break through that. Okay, many of you in your class, you must work out. Okay, take it seriously and do well. Do the CodeVita session of this year. You have to do well. Okay. So I don't know about that meeting. I saw that. I don't know whether it is scheduled for you or not. Anyhow, you give a good try. Okay. Okay. So come back to this forest we have discussed. So a binary tree. You write on the heading as binary tree. A general tree we have discussed. A general tree means it can have any number of branches. A binary tree. I'll just give you the introduction of binary tree today, and problems of how to insert and how to remove. It's the problem. Okay, that we will see in our next week. So now today we'll just see only the basics. Problems I'm not going to discuss today. Okay. So draw the diagram in the right hand side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is named, is it not? Draw that diagram. Just have a look at the diagram on the left hand side. You need not draw the left hand side diagram. You just have a look. So binary tree is a tree in which no node can have more than 2 children. Or we can define like a binary tree is a tree that can have at most 2 children. We'll have the word called at most. So at most 2 children means at most is maximum 2 children. So many times we'll use this word at most. At most means maximum. At most 2 children means 0 children, or 0 child, or 1 child, or 2 children. It is called as at most. Sorry, yes. 0, 1, or 2. So you can define as a binary tree is a tree which in which no node can have more than 2 children. A tree can have either 0 nodes, 0 child. For example, leaf nodes will not have child at all, or a node can have 1 child. For example, in the first tree, 7 has only 1 child. 7 has only 1 child called 12. Okay, 7 has only 1 child. Or a node can have 2 child or 2 children. That is, 2 has 4 and 5 as children, or 4 has 8 and 9 as children, or one root node has 2 child called 2 and 3. So at any point of time, or if you are considering any node in your tree, you will have 2 children, or 1 child, or no children at all. Okay, so all the leaf nodes will not have children at all, that you know. And some of the node like 7 may have only 1 child, or any other node will have only 2 child. So any node will not have more than 2 child. Okay, you just see through this diagram, you won't have a node with 3 children. Okay, you will have maximum, you will have nodes with 2 children. So that is your binary tree. So the rule for your binary tree is this one. A binary tree means at most it can have 2 children, either 0, 1, or 2. This is the only rule you are going to remember. Okay, for a binary tree, the only rule you are going to remember is at most it can have 2 children. Okay, so your tree can have 0, 1, or 2 children. This is the rule. This is the only statement that is defined for a binary tree. Okay, other than that, the level, depth, height, and all, it's common. The only rule is the number of children. You can have maximum 2 children for a binary tree. So sometimes we'll define trees like M-array tree instead of this by. Okay, instead of this by, we can apply like M-array tree. Sometimes they ask you what is an M-array tree. So your M defines the number of branches. M, if it is by, it is 2, at most 2 child. If you're replacing this M with 5, okay, you can call it as a, you can call tree like 3-array tree or 5-array tree. In the chat box I given, sometimes they will ask like what is a 5-array tree. 5-array or 3-array means it defines the maximum number of branches. A 5-array tree is a tree where you can have maximum 5 children for a particular node, 0 to 5, 0 child, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, maximum 5 child. A node can have maximum 5 child. It's called as five-array tree. So a binary means bi. You can have 2 children, maximum 2 children can be drawn for a particular node. That is your binary tree. Okay. So levels in the second, in the last diagram, it is given the levels of a binary tree. A root node will be at level 0, and each and every node below a particular node, it will be defined with one level greater. Okay, level 1, level 2, level 3, like that. Okay, that defines the levels in your binary tree. So binary tree has a restriction where each node can have at most 2 children. So here the general structure also I've given. You can have maximum 2 subtrees, and you can label it as left subtree and right subtree, or left child and right child. So there are so many variations in your diagram. You can draw it in any way. Okay, but remember you can have maximum 2 branches. That's all. Okay, T1 and T2 there, that defines 2 subtrees. So here this is a worst case binary tree. You draw this worst case binary tree. So why we are moving in from your linked list or array to your tree, there is one point. Okay, always I used to say that whenever there are some set of data structure, I told you there are some limitations in a particular data structure. That's why we are moving in for the other data structure. Is it not? So in array you had a limitation, that is your memory. That is statically you have to allocate memory. You are wasting some memory. That's why we moved on for linked list, where we dynamically allocated memory, and as and when required we created new nodes, and we didn't waste any memory at all in your linked list. Is it not? So there I told you there is we saw the limitation of array, and we moved on to your linked list. To overcome that limitation, we moved on to linked list. In linked list also there is one limitation. Okay, so to overcome that limitation, we are moving in for your tree and graph. Okay, here I want to register this point. Your linked list has one drawback. That's why we are moving in for your, we cannot tell it as a drawback, it is a limitation. It is a one shortcoming or limitation. To overcome that limitation, we are moving in for another data structure called as tree. Okay, can any one of you name any one limitation in your linked list? That is, at one point we might have encountered a particular drawback in your linked list. Can you guess any thing like that? During insertion or removal or searching, there was one problem with your linked list. Can any one of you guess? During insertion or removal or searching a particular element, there was one problem. Do you have any idea? We need to traverse from start to end. It's very good. The correct answer is we need to traverse from the start to end. Always to search a particular element, we have to start from the header node. We have to start from the header node, and we have to traverse. For example, if I'm having some 50 elements in the linked list. Okay, imagine my data is at the 48th position. I have to start from the first node. I have to scan through all the nodes. I have to read through all the nodes, and then only I can reach the 49th or 48th node. Okay, so in that case, I'm wasting a lot of time. I am wasting all the resources. Okay, so that is the major limitation in your linked list. I have to always start from the first node. Then only I can go to the required node or to the last node. Or in some case, my search element may not be present in the list at all. I'm searching for a particular element called 10 in my list. 10 may not be present at all. So till I'm scanning through all the elements, I have to search. Then only I can find out that 10 is not at all available. Then I'll tell that 10 is not present in the list. 10 is not found, like that. So there we are wasting the entire time. Is it not? So to avoid that, mainly to minimize your search time. Okay, mainly to minimize the time, we are moving in for your hierarchical structure. We are moving in for your tree where your search time will reduce by half. Okay, since you're having a hierarchy, will our search time or the insertion time or deletion time, it's going to be reduced by half. Okay, half the time. If I'm taking 10 milliseconds in your array or linked list, here in your trees, your time is going to be 5 milliseconds or less than that. Yeah, half the time it's going to get reduced when you're using a tree. Okay. Here, why I remember that point is here I've shown you the worst case binary tree. A worst case binary tree is it will more or less resemble your array and linked list. You have a sequential representation. You see here you have 5, then 3, then 2, then 4, then 1. You have a linear notation, one after the other. You don't have the right child at all. 5 has only left child. 3 has once again a left child. 2 has a left child. 4 has a left child. You don't have a right child at all. In that case, it resembles a linked list or it resembles an array. You have one by one, a sequential notation. In that case, you don't have a possibility to reduce the time. You have the worst case time. Your search or deletion or insertion, it will take the same time as in your linked list or in your array. So that's why this is a worst case binary tree. So even though a binary tree may have 2 child, here always you have a left child. In the second example, you always have a right child. You don't have left child at all. So in that case, your time is going to be the same as in your linked list or array. That's why this is called as a worst case scenario. Okay. So here, skewed trees. At one end, left, the first diagram is called as left skewed trees. Left skewed means always you'll have left child. Right skewed trees means you always you have right child. We won't have left child at all. All the nodes will have only right child. They are called as right skewed trees. Okay. We write down this. This is a left skewed tree. This is a right skewed tree. So that is the drawback. Even in your binary tree, this is a very bad notation of your tree. Only if you're having equal levels, equally if you're having left and right, your tree height, it will be minimum. Okay, if your tree height is reduced, then your search time will be reduced. Okay, you can do insertion very quickly, or searching or deletion, it will take half the time only when your tree is fully with left and right child. Okay, so I'll show you one example here. This is a complete binary tree where all the levels it will have equal number of children, or maximum it will have 2 child in all the levels. In that case, this is the best possible representation of a tree where your time will be reduced. By now you don't worry about the time. Here also, this is also a basic terminology of a tree. Complete binary tree means it has 2 properties. One is at every level it is completely filled. For example, level 0 is this root node, and level 1 it is completely filled. And then at level 2 also you have all possible left child and right child. For 2 you have 2 branches. For 3 also you have 2 branches. For 4 also you have 2 branches. For 5 also you have 2 branches. For 6 also you have 2 branches. Okay. And a complete binary tree has possibly 2 branches in all the levels except the last level. When I'm filling data, I'll fill in from the left hand side. Okay, so at 13th node I might stop insertion. Okay, from left hand side I'll try to fill in the tree. Okay, so from the left hand side we will fill the tree and it will be completely full. You won't have any missing nodes. So for 5 I'm having 2 nodes, I'm not having a single branch. Okay, so you have data completely filled. So that is your complete binary tree. So you read through this. First, in a complete binary tree, every level except the last level is completely filled, and all the nodes appear as far left as possible. The left side will be completely filled. If you are having some missing nodes, it will be in the right side. The right side may have empty nodes. Okay, so that is with your complete binary tree. This formula, the second point, you need not note down now. Just note down this one. This tree, you have to fill it from your left side. That is your complete binary tree. And with one more notation, I will stop today's class. There are 2 variations. There is complete binary tree, and then another thing is your full binary tree. So full binary tree is where your every node, it is filled like this. You have full all the nodes, even till the last you have it is filled. That is one notation. So a full binary tree is where each node is either a full node or a leaf node. Either it should be a leaf node or it should have two children. No node will have single children. No node will have single child. That is your full binary tree. You should know the differences between your complete binary tree and full binary tree. Okay. A full binary tree is where every node will have either two child or no child at all. Okay. That's defined here. Either it will have two children or no children at all. Your leaf node will not have any children, but all other nodes will have two children. Okay, you can take this example. If your full binary tree is completely filled, the formula is this one. At any height h, you will have 2 power n plus 1 minus 1 nodes. This is asked in your university exam. What is the number of nodes available at height h for a full binary tree? Note down this formula. For a full binary tree of height h, what is the number of nodes? You can use this formula. Height h, you can write this as 2 power h plus 1. This n, it denotes the height. Okay, so at height h, you can apply this formula. Either you write it as height n or you write the formula as height. Formula is 2 power h plus 1. 2 power h plus 1 minus 1. For example, if your height is 3, if your height is 3, you apply the formula here. 3 plus 1 is 4. 2 power 4 minus 1. 2 power 4 is 16. 16 minus 1 is 15. Maximum you will have 15 nodes. In this tree, you just count the number of nodes. You will have 15 nodes. Okay, so at height h, your height is 4 here. Sorry, height is 3. Height is the number of edges connecting to the root. Your height is 3. 3 plus 1 is 4. Here 2 power 4 minus 1 is 15. You will have 15 nodes in your full binary tree. Okay. So sometimes in your university exams they ask what is the difference between a complete binary tree and full binary tree. So by this we'll stop today's class, and in the next class we'll learn how to do insertions, deletions and search in your binary tree. The more variations like implementing a binary tree using the coding and routines and all, we'll learn in our next week, in our next class. Okay, so today you just see this basics. Once again go through. Today I'm going to upload an assignment. Okay, so you need not write anything newly. All the basic terminologies you have written, is it not? You take a snapshot of that and then write it, make it as a single document, maximum possible. Some of you are uploading some 5 images or 6 images. Don't do that. Upload as a single document, a single PDF or a single Word document. You upload the images. Okay, make it as a single document and upload today's assignment. I will give you 3 days time. Okay, today you might have written everything. Just take a snapshot and upload your assignment today. Okay. With this, we'll wind up the session. Today, we have seen only the basics. Okay. Next class, we'll see more about the binary tree and binary search trees. Okay.